let me do a little storytelling here. Imagine you did this. You invested a lot of your money, 150K. I hired two people there. I managed to get the E2 visa. So I started my business in the US with, let's say, three, four people. But I realized that I'm not getting enough money yet. I'm hardly paying the rent and the salaries for my team, and I'm not making enough money as the business owner. Now, could I do, based on my E2 visa status, could I do some freelance work for other companies? Could I work on the side, or do I need to only do the business that I'm creating there?
Really good question. Very important question. So the E2 investor visa is an entrepreneurship visa, and it only authorizes the owner to work in the E2 business only. Not to go out and get another job, and not even to go out and start other businesses. The visa itself actually prints out the name of the company that qualify for the E2 visa. And that's all the E2 visa is authorizing the foreign citizen entrepreneur to do, is to manage and operate and work in his or her own business, the one for which he or she qualified for the E2 visa. So doing freelance work, working as an employee or independent contractor of other companies here in the United States is not authorized. However, E2 visa does not prohibit B2B relationships. So if you're starting a tech company, a software development, or a tech consultancy, if you can engage in a B2B relationship with the other U.S. company, where it is your E2 company that's entering into a service agreement with a U.S. Customer company, and that you are providing services
Through the company,
to the customer through your own company on behalf
I
of your
see.
company, then that would be okay. Now, one caveat with that is, Marco, is that E2 company is really intended for people to be like entrepreneur, director, managers, executives of their business, not grunt workers, service providers. So what the law allows is, in the early stages of the business, it is okay for the E2 entrepreneurs to have involvement in provision of services to customer, doing the actual service work, tech work. But eventually, once you get beyond the startup phase, they want the E2 entrepreneur to fully engage in managerial executive duties and delegate those service functions to the team members, employees. But it is allowed in the early stage where they're trying to establish the foundation of the business.
And now, when you go through the process, do you need to show proof that you are getting US customers? Is it important? Is it relevant?
This is very important, especially for a small startup tech company in the United States. For a small startup, the biggest concern of GDK visa officer is the speculative nature of the business, because if they have little to no customers and little to no revenues, there's could be a lot of doubts and skepticism about the potential. So especially for high scrutiny U.S. embassies, they oftentimes will expect validation, proof that the company can actually have the ability to acquire meaningful amount of customers, critical mass of revenue generation, to believe in the business plan projections. So oftentimes I will recommend that you generate some meaningful customer contracts first before you apply for E2 visa, especially to satisfy a strict visa officer that is very doubtful. So the customers, they don't have to be located in the United States. The E2 company, the US company, can actually service customer worldwide. And the contribution, even if the customers is outside the United States, the contribution to the U.S. economy is that revenue generated is going to be counted to U.S. taxation and providing work for their U.S. team members. So a lot of times I'll recommend that, yes, your U.S. company is a brand new startup, and since you can't work in the U.S. yet, it may be actually challenging for you to acquire U.S. customers, because you can't be here doing sales and stuff.
Exactly.
And doing remote sales is quite difficult sometimes. So I'll typically recommend, look, if it's possible for your U.S. company to sign up international customers, at least for now, to support the E2 application, do it. It will significantly boost the credibility of your startup business for the E2 visa purposes. And of course, once you get the E2 visa, you'll really develop the US market and acquire more US customers. I think most visa officers understand the reality that if you can't work in the USA, it makes sense that your ability to acquire foreign customers are more realistic. They just want to be sure that US company, before they grant up to 5-year visa to allow you to live and work in the United States, that it actually has a realistic chance of success.
There's some growth happening for sure. Your to-go tip for the people that is ready for an E2 visa?
I've seen these mistakes over my 25 years experience so far. Sometimes applicants, and it's not their fault, they don't know the legal requirements or E2 visa nuances and complexities. They'll go ahead and set up the business, invest their money, and I'll discover the fund source is not qualifying. And the money's already spent. So it's a situation where I cannot reverse what was already done. And we have to start all over again. All the effort, time, money, and energy possibly wasted. Get the right advice. Do it right the first time.